Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm filming 2 videos in the same day, so that's why I'm wearing the same thing as my last video. Or I don't know if I'm going to post this one first or whatever. But today we are going to be talking about a book I just read and I absolutely loved. I absolutely devoured it. That was so cute. It was called Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. It was chef's kiss, so good. I forgot what I rated it. Oh my god. Let me actually look it up on my Goodreads because I write reviews and I rate everything. Every single thing that I've ever read this year, I've rated it and wrote a review on most of them on Goodreads. So for this one, I gave it a 4.85 stars. I loved it. And it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be because I've read only 2 other Christina Lauren books. One of them was very disappointing to me. It was A Soulmate Equation. I made a YouTube video about that. And the other one was The Unhoneymooners. But at the time that I read The Unhoneymooners, I was very new to reading. So everything that I was reading, I gave everything 5 stars. But now I think after reading so much, you get kind of used to the format of it. And I feel like if I were to revisit The Unhoneymooners, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But yeah, I loved this book. I think it is so good. The only reason why I would have given this book 5 stars, the only reason why I didn't, I will talk about in a little bit. So just bear with me there. If you don't know what Love in Other Words is about, it is a second chance romance book. It is a friends to lovers-ish. Like it's like they're childhood friends to very distant, don't talk anymore, and then you get flashbacks as to why that happened, and then they become lovers, aka the second chance part of the romance. It follows Macy and Elliot, who are next door neighbors. Kind of like, he lives in a small town that's kind of like a vacation town, and her dad, after her mom dies, her dad, Macy's dad, buys the house across the street from Elliot, and they visit, it's like a second home for them, and Macy and her dad visit every now and then to the vacation home, and ever since then Macy and Elliot have been like best friends with each other. And yeah, I thought the writing was really well done. Oh, there are so many good lines in here. Oh my god, like I was just like, woo! It was so cute. I'm so sorry, just like thinking about it. First of all, I've said this in another video, in a past video before, but I love simps. In books, I love a simp, you know, and Elliot, he's a softie and a simp. He is so soft and oh, I love him. He loves to read, and Elliot and Macy, for most of the book, all they're really doing is just in the past, like they have flashbacks. So in the past flashbacks, all they're really doing as they're like growing up is just reading in a closet and just like chilling out and hanging out. But you know that like they just love each other's company, and you really get that through the writing. So I don't know what kind of crack Christina Lauren put in this, but it was written so much better than her other books. I don't know what it is. There's some sort of crack in here, and it was a really great book. Macy and Elliot just communicate really, really well, even in the present time when, like, so there's this, like, there's supposed to be a twist in this book as to why they're distant, like why they don't talk anymore, like what happened. There was something that happened 11 years ago as to the reason why they don't talk anymore. And the whole book leads up to that moment. It's kind of like People We Meet on Vacation that way, you know? It's like, you know, in People We Meet on Vacation, if you've read that, every single year they like talk about the trips that they would make, and then they're like, why aren't we friends anymore? Why aren't we friends? And then it leads up to this one moment, and I thought that the moment in this was truly shocking, and it was like jaw dropped, and I thought it was a great twist because it's something that I really actually did not see coming, and that is hard to do for me because I kind of feel like it's pretty, I feel like what happens in the book and like the reason why they don't talk is so justified. I'm just like, damn it. Like, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense why they don't talk, but it just sucks. Anyway. Also, what I thought was really unexpected was that in the present time, because there's like, you know, the past as they're growing up, and then in the present time, they reconnect and they like see each other again. Macy, she is engaged. And I really thought that, like, as I was reading it and I saw that she was engaged, it happens in the beginning of the book, right? I was like, oh shit, like, here we go again. This is gonna be a big conflict. She's engaged, but then she falls back in love with Elliot, etc., etc. But actually, I'm really shocked, pleasantly surprised that they didn't use the fiance as like a conflict. They used it to justify Macy's internal feelings and internal thought process. Macy and her fiance weren't really connected and didn't really know each other, and I think and I like that they didn't use the fiance as like a huge conflict and like a big drama as you'd expect from a lot of romance novels. And they just used it to really solidify who Macy was as a character, because what happens is that she's not really connected with her fiance, but the reason why is because she feels like it's like better to be numb to things than like put your heart into it after like everything that's happened to her. And then this is where you get the big twist. So there's a lot of chemistry in here. Let me show you a couple of the lines in here that I loved. So this was a line that I loved because, okay, the love in the flashbacks of like as they're growing up and falling in love with each other, Macy and Elliot, it's so palpable. Like the love that they have for each other is so palpable. I didn't even realize they never said I love you to each other. And I was shook when I read this line after realizing that. She says, and I thought, as I heard his footsteps jogging down the stairs, how strange and wonderful it was that we had never said I love you, and we hadn't needed to. I was thinking back on it, and I was like, they never said I love you to each other? Holy shit, they didn't. But they didn't need to, like she said, because you just feel it. Like, you feel the love. It's through the actions, it's through how they choose each other and stuff like that. Anyways, so that is kind of the spoiler-free part of this review, and now I'm going to talk about what happened that 11 years ago as to the reason why they're not friends. I gave it a 4.85, and the reason why I gave it a little bit marked down is kind of because of this reason. There's like a couple parts to this twist, to this like big reveal as to what happened the 11 years ago, okay? So it's New Year's Eve, 11 years ago, and Macy and Elliot are finally together. They're like boyfriend and girlfriend, and Macy is like, Elliot, I mean, is head over heels in love with Macy. He calls her drunk one night at New Year's Eve at a party. He calls her and says, Macy, I love you. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. You're the one for me, but he's drunk. And he says, like, will you marry me, Macy? And it's over the phone. And this man's is drunk. And Macy says, Elliot, like, you know I love you. Just, like, let's talk about it in person. Like the moment is just not right, you know? Like, she wishes that they could be together at that moment. And Elliot's like freaking out, like, oh, like, you don't let me, I don't know. There's just like, shit goes down, right? And so Macy feels like, shit, I need to go and see Elliot. Because the only, and mind you, the only people that Macy has in her life is her dad and Elliot. Those are the two people she really has in her life that doesn't make her feel lonely in the world. So she tells her dad, hey dad, I want to go drive to the vacation home right now so I can go see Elliot. I love him, etc. And her dad's like, okay, here, take the car, you can go see him, just let me know, like, update me when you're coming back home, right? Because she's supposed to just go see him, drive there, and then come home right away. She goes, okay, for sure, I'll call you when I come back home. She goes to the vacation home. She opens the door to the party that he's at and sees Elliot butt-ass naked with another girl. And this girl has come up, you know, throughout the book. It's Emma. Fucking Emma. It's Emma. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, it's Emma, and he's butt-ass naked in a bedroom with Emma, and they're passed out. So basically, we can, in conclusion, Elliot cheated on her. Right? Hate cheaters in books. Hate them. Hate them. That is like the one thing in romance novels I cannot forgive. But we'll put that to the side, okay? So that happens. Macy is devastated. She's devastated. She's crying her eyes out, bawling, and she's just so confused. She's like, he was literally telling me he wanted to marry me. He was like, said he was so in love with me. How could he do this? Why did he cheat? So he goes to her house, her vacation home, and sleeps on the floor crying. Elliot is like calling her and is like, hey, like, what's going on? He's trying to call her, and Macy just cannot deal, turns off her phone, so she doesn't get the text messages that her dad is giving her. So when she wakes up that morning with a puffy face, her dad walks in and is like, hey, like, you didn't give me a call, so I came to go check up on you. Great dad, by the way. Such a great dad. And he sees, like, how she looks, and her dad is just like feeling so hurt for Macy and so worried for her. Her dad and her drive home, and she's just like crying in the car, right? And as they're going home, this is New Year's Day, this is at the same time, so she lost Elliot, right? She has two people in her life. She just lost Elliot right now. And she's driving back with her dad the next day, and her dad looks at her in the car he's driving. Her dad looks at her all worried, you know, and then the car crashes, and he dies. So in the span of 24 hours, Macy has lost the two people. This was given Colleen Hoover vibes, you know, using trauma to hit you right here. It was giving Colleen Hoover. I was like, oh my god, my heart. Like, poor Macy. She lost the only two people she's ever had in her life that didn't make her feel lonely. She's lost them in a span of 24 hours. And the one person she felt like she could talk to in that moment, Elliot, she couldn't anymore because of what he did. She also blamed Elliot for her dad dying for those 11 years because the pain, like, it hurt too much for her, but also because if it wasn't for him, she probably would have called her dad. If it wasn't for him doing that, she probably would have had her phone on and given him that call. And she just blamed him for all that time, and she just didn't know how to face that and face the guilt that she felt. Oh my god, my goddamn mother effing heart, like, Jesus. When I read this, I was like, yo, this is a great, sad, but a great, tragic twist as to the reason why she didn't talk to Elliot for 11 years. I was just like, damn, that sucks. Like, I hate miscommunication trope, right? But, like, you should have just talked to him. But at the same time, I get it. Like, I get it. I understand. I get it. Like, oh! So, I totally understand her reasoning as to why the events in the book happened the way that they did. And then come to find out as to what happened that night. Why Elliot cheated on her. Why Elliot was in the bed with Emma, butt-ass naked. So now we're in the present, and he finally opens up, because this is the first time they've talked in 11 years, right? He tells her what happened that night. And basically, it's kind of confusing, but like, he was drunk. He was drunk out of his mind. So he thought that Emma was Macy. He thought that who he was having sex with that night was Macy. And he was himself confused when he woke up that night or that morning and saw that Macy was gone, but it was Emma, and why he wasn't getting calls, why Macy was ignoring her calls. And so for these 11 years, Elliot was like waiting for Macy, and like, you know, it just like things were so unresolved on his end. And so basically, the reason why I gave this 4.85 stars was because this happened, right? What this is entailing is that Elliot was sexually assaulted. He was taken advantage of while he was drunk. Like, he was SA'd by Emma, you know? Because he was, you know? And I feel like they really glossed over that fact in this book, and I feel like they really should have, because, you know, we always talk about how women are taken advantage of and sexually assaulted, but this can happen for men too. And this absolutely positively happened to Elliot. And I wish that they really solidified that fact more in this book. And that is the only reason why I didn't make it 5 stars. But either way, I thought this book was beautiful. So he didn't really cheat. He was R-worded, you know? And I wish, the one thing I wish they could have added in this book was to at least have a note or a mention about the seriousness of what happened to Elliot that night, or at least get a perspective from Emma. Like, I feel like things were so unresolved right there. Like, I wish I got Emma's perspective on what happened that night, or like what she did, you know? But other than that, this book was a 5-star read to me. I just really wish they talked about how, because I was hooked from the beginning in this book. I was like, I love these characters, etc., etc. I was in my feels, and I just wish that they like talked about that. You know, like, it's just such an important topic, and Christina Lauren had that chance to talk about the importance of sexual assault and to people who are men as well. So yeah, that is my review on Love in Other Words. I thought it was a great read. I recommend it to everybody to read it, especially if you are a romance reader. I loved it so much. I give it a 4.85 stars. And if you've ever read it, please leave your comments below on what you thought about this book. And please subscribe if you like this video. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.